Y'all, I talk to dead people after I spent thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm gonna tell you the spiritual season of my life is spooky. Do you like and have you ever do all Reiki? And I was like, is that another muscle relaxer? Jeez Louise. This is so techie. Okay, now instead of screen mirroring onto my TV where I'm constantly like, what's going on? I have my laptop on the side and it's screen mirroring. So it's acting like a little monitor so I can see what you're seeing. And what do you mean? I posted my first YouTube video, my comeback video after 6 years on the 20th on Tuesday when Aquarius season started. And for those of you that aren't into astrology, which is like rare because I know my people were into astrology, but if you need a little bit more of a rundown of like Aquarius season, remind me what that is again. Aquarius season is the weirdo. Aquarius is also the humanitarian, power to the people, be true to yourself. And I literally posted, didn't even realize it was Aquarius season until today, which I just posted the video yesterday. Today's the 21st. This video is going to go up tomorrow. But hello, I feel like that just awoken something in my DNA. But speaking of seasons and having that realization, let me get comfortable too, because in the last video, I was sitting here chit-chatting with you for 30 minutes. And when I tried to get up, my left leg was dead asleep. I'm like, let me get a little comfortable. Let me fix my hair a little bit. But we want to get cozy in this part of the internet. And as I was thinking about Aquarius season and how I literally posted on the beginning of the season, it's all about being true to yourself, and my video is like, hello, I'm finally home, like I'm home to myself and I'm ready to stop performing and like be my true self and share a snippet of what I've been up to in the past 6 years since I last posted. I think there are always seasons for life, and when I reflect back on what I shared, I mean, how can you really get into every juicy detail of 6 years in 30 minutes? But I forgot to share my spiritual season with you. Yes, this is how I know. I'm just gonna keep talking on the internet, and by the end of this year, I claim that I will have found my people. And if I don't talk about the spiritual season that I went through, I might be tuned into the wrong frequency. So when you think spiritual, what do you think of? The woo, the who, the keekster woo. When I first got into spirituality, it was post-graduation 2022. So we're still kind of recapping. This will be the past like 4-ish years, not the whole 6 years since I last posted, but I did get spiritual since I last posted. So when I graduated college in 2022, my friend at the time was getting an astrology reading, and she just proclaimed that it was profound, that she felt like energy in the room. It was like a real in-person reading in some, dinky little house in St. Paul. And I said, you know what? You had so much fun doing your little astrology reading. She was talking about like when she wanted to move, and this is my friend's reading at the time, and how her life events were basically being validated by what was going on astrologically. And before, now I feel like in 2026, astrology is a lot more mainstream. It's got a little bit of a capitalistic touch to it here and there. But 4 years ago, I feel like it was still pretty on the woo side. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm going to gift myself for my little graduation present, because I just felt really lost after graduation too. Like graduating college, it was such a high that after I graduated, it was such a low. And this kind of goes in hand with talking about seasons. Is like there's winter, fall, spring, summer, but there are also different seasons of your life, different seasons of like high activity, low activity. And so I feel like doing a 4-year university where you're living on campus, where you have a lot of autonomy and you can absolutely do whatever you want at all hours of the day, there is such a high season. And then you're at the end, you're a senior, you're like, I know my way around campus, I know all the friends, Are we slowly dropping here? I think we're slowly dropping. Hold on, let me fix you. It's getting a little bit thick for the little stand that I got. Hello, gravity. Okay. But now, am I like not centered enough? You're gonna tell me I'm overthinking it. Anyways, I feel like college is such a high season where at the end of it, you're like, I'm this pro, I know my way around town, and then it's like, boom, you graduate, you might have a summer break, you might not have a summer break, and you go into the workforce, and then you're like a baby. You're a novice in whatever workforce that you're going to, and I feel like for me, I went from such a high season and then I went really low, and I was just super depressed. I mean, this is a theme in my life of being depressed, but it's really just addressing a deeper rooted issue in my life. But I think it's completely normal to be depressed and go through a low season after having such a high season. Balances, universal laws, all of that jazz. And so when I graduated, I was really lost. I mean, I had gotten a corporate job that was going to pay me like $72,000 to do a job. I had no idea what the job was. It said that it was consulting and like corporate consulting, but I didn't know what consulting was. And from all the consulting I was gonna call them the consulting whores, but hello, the consulting people in the business school, to me, just gave a vibe of like ultra competitiveness. They made it seem like consulting was really hard, or that consulting was like this big end goal, and here I was just landing a job in consulting, and I had no idea what it was. I had never really done consulting, and did a few like case competitions here and there. One, yes, winner. But I just felt lost. I felt sad, and I was like, let me get into this little astrology. Let me go see what like my career path is supposed to be. Let me go see what the planets are saying about how I'm supposed to be fucking making money. Man, did that really lead me down a string of stuff. So in May, June, whenever you graduate, that summer of 2022, my friend did an astrology reading, and I was like, I've got nothing to lose, and I'm about to be making some money, so let me spend $200 on an astrology reading. And in the astrology reading, I left it bawling my eyes out, like crying in such a way that was just this unconditional love and acceptance for who I am. In the astrology reading, I think she said something like, she told me a whole crock load of shit. That this is going to get into the spiritual season. I'm going to tell you the spiritual season of my life is spooky. And she just said like I was going to be a filmmaker, that I was going to like move, none of any of that happened. And as you can tell, I have a little bit of resentment towards her, but I also can't help but feel like you just keep dropping on me, and I don't want you to go too low because I don't have pants on. So hold on, let's get a little bit situated here. We're gonna start you off high, and then you'll just keep going low, but at least you can still see me. So after I do my little astrology reading, I didn't even know anything about astrology at that time. It's not like now where people know their big 3 or their big 6 and get into it, but she basically told me I have like a lot of fire in my chart, that I meant to be like a filmmaker down the line, and that I was gonna move, none of which of that happened because I was like doing my own startup in sustainable fashion, and I was getting a corporate job, and I was still living where I was born and raised. And so a lot of it didn't align, but the energy in my tears leaving the session just felt so opening to a different side of emotions. I really feel like that's where I probably first connected with like the ancestors, spirit guides. I know sometimes in the last video, say like my ancestors are strong, the spirit is strong, but it's like, no, there really are people that died before you that are cheering you on and guiding you and trying to help you. And so after I do the reading in 2022, I find the next year in 2023, I had started the job, I'm still doing my little startup, so I'm balancing a lot, and I just feel like I'm energetically heavy. And so I message this astrologer, and I'm like, hey, I feel pulled to ask you about energy healing. I didn't know what energy healing was, but I just felt energetically yucky. I felt like there was energetic like garbage. You know, you walk into a room and you're like, I just feel gross. Like the vibes here are not suitable. And so I messaged her at the beginning of 2023, and she sends me, she's like, yeah, of course. Like, I'm tapped into the spiritual community here in the Twin Cities, and here are my recommendations. And I look at them and I just didn't understand. I was so skeptical too. I was like, what do you mean someone's gonna like wave their hands over me and energetically clear me, and it's gonna cost me $200 for a 60-minute session? Like, I didn't buy it. I was skeptical. I thought it was some bullshit until get this. August later that year, I had been going to see a TMJ specialist because the crime that I was a victim of in college left my jaw. Essentially, I had pockets of debilitation. Like, my jaw would lock close and then I couldn't open my mouth, and it became so bad that when I would have food in your mouth, if you didn't know, whether or not you open your mouth and chew, when you have food in your mouth, your body does this thing where you start salivating. So when my jaw would lock close and I would still have food stuck in my mouth, I would be sitting there for 15-20 minutes and just drooling, and I would be panicking, because imagine all of a sudden you do like this, you do all of that whenever you want, and then that's like taken away from you, and there's nothing you can do to crack open your jaw. And so I'm going to the specialist. I'm on a bunch of muscle relaxers for them to try and help me relax my jaw. And literally the main like attendant doctor was saying that 90% of people's jaw issues stem from not feeling psychologically safe, because in our primal days, you think about it, when we're like in a stance to you're like, oh, you know, you like grit your teeth and you're like showing them like, I'm ready to fight you, come and get it. And so when you don't feel psychologically safe, your body just takes that on and is like, So that's what was happening. And I was waking up with the worst headaches. I'm on all these muscle relaxers that are just making me so drowsy, and it was just not a fun time. And then they also had concerns. You don't want to be on muscle relaxers too long, or else it can start to like lower your blood pressure or your heart rate, one of the two. And it was starting to do that to me. And then one day I get this new like resident doctor that checks in on me, and she just on her way out was like, and have you ever heard of Reiki? And I was like, is that another muscle relaxer I'm supposed to research? Because every time they'd want to put me on a new muscle relaxer, I would have to research what it is. Really just type it into Google and look at it and be like, hey, whatever, put me on it. I don't really care. I don't have the energy to care. But she's like, no, I think you'd really benefit from Reiki. You should check it out. Look it up. So I look it up online, and it's telling me Reiki is like a Japanese energy healing technique. And it basically aligns with this like energy healing that I was looking into 8 months prior. So at this point, I had an instant at work where we were all at lunch, you know, and I was like, no. So you're like, you know, putting on, at this point, I was putting on like the performance of a lifetime. And then during lunch, my jaw locked closed and I started freaking out, because imagine you're sitting talking with everyone and then all of a sudden I can't open my mouth and I have food in it, and now all of a sudden I'm salivating. I run to the bathroom. I am crying. I think I threw up because I was crying so hard, and I just sat on the floor and I looked at the energy list of the energy healers list that she gave me, and I felt one. I picked one where the website was like easy to book. I said, you know what? I'm flipping desperate. Who cares? Book this. I'll pay $200 at this point, because I can't keep living my life like this. So I go to my first Reiki session in like August 2023. I see this woman in St. Paul, surprise, surprise, another white lady. And if I didn't mention before, the astrologer was also a white lady. Red flags. And so after the first Reiki session, my jaw doesn't lock close. And I'm also crying so hard. If you've never done like a Reiki session and you're like, what is this woo bajou energy healing where people wave your hands over you? Basically, you go in, you like sit down and you talk about why you're there. So it's like a little bit of therapy for a second. And then you lay on this massage table, and the person really does, like, they don't really touch you. And if they do, it's like a light touch to like the shoulders or your head or like your feet. And it's like they're channeling Reiki to you. I mean, after that session, I cried a lot. And there was also just a lot of things said about like my past life, which I feel now looking back on it was like very unethical. It was very harsh. It was very shocking and, dare I say, damaging to the nervous system. But in the moment I was like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling all these feelings. I'm crying so hard. You're telling me these things about like my past lives that feel kind of true. And so I booked another session because I realized after that, like my jaw hadn't locked closed in a while. And so she was teaching a course, the specific like Reiki healer that I went to was teaching a course about like you could be a Reiki healer and you could heal yourself and you could heal other people. And I was like, sign me the F up. This jaw pain that comes with debilitating headaches and the locked jaw situationship has got to go. So if I can sign up for this class and like learn about Reiki and do this energy healing on myself, 1000%. So I do it. I sign up for Reiki 1 and 2. It's like $500 course. It was over like a whole entire weekend. It basically just involved a shit ton of meditating and then like learning from a textbook about Reiki. Oh, now you went too high, girl, but I know you'll come back down eventually. So after I do my little Reiki course at the end of 2023, I did Reiki 1 and 2. I was really into it. Oop, that's my laundry. And then the following year, she has like, what was the next one? Was it just straight into Reiki Master? I guess it was. I guess there was like a, level up in the next course, go into Reiki Master. Here's something about my first session that I didn't mention that I feel like is really important to mention, that if you want to go try this Reiki energy healing, which I personally would advise against, and I'll tell you why in a second, after I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on it myself. But after I did the Reiki Master course, it just kind of felt like, honestly, after I did Reiki 1 and 2, it just felt like bad things kept happening to me. My life just felt very chaotic. I felt like I was outsourcing my power. Like, oh my gosh, this thing outside of me, this Reiki thing, this magic outside of me is like curing me, it's helping me. It just made me feel powerless because it felt like something outside of me was healing me that I didn't have access to unless I paid this woman that was teaching me thousands of dollars to do it. So then about a year later, my timelines are kind of getting a little bit scrunchy. No, 2 years later. So then I become Reiki Master. I love it. I even put like one of my friends on at the time. And then 2025, beginning of 2025, I have a dream. I have a nightmare, a terrible, terrible nightmare where this Reiki healer teacher that I had paid thousands of dollars to teach me this, and also got sessions from her. I had a dream that she was like demonic witch in my dream, like black mask. Like in the dream, she was how she dresses in normal life at first, and then she like switched and she had like the red eyeshadow like under and around her eyes, long creepy nails, like some demonic witch shit in my dream. And then I saw this other energy healer who's a lot older. She's like 65 years old. Also another white lady. Not as much of a red flag, but definitely still there. Personally, I think if you're gonna dabble into the ancient spiritual stuff, maybe just don't go to a white person. And so I have this scary dream. I go to this like 65-year-old, she's a different energy healer. She doesn't do Reiki. She just says she does like quantum healing. And so I go to her and I tell her that I have this dream, and she's like, oh, I've been picking up this like dark master energy in your field. And she goes on to tell me that, and shares with me that Reiki was brought to this planet Earth 2,000 years ago by beings from Venus. Yeah, I know, we're getting really spiritual and really weird. And mind you, this was just a season of my life, okay? I'm no longer there. But I feel like when she was telling me, I was just so involved in this like spiritual stuff in the midst of because I was putting on a performance, right? I was performing in every aspect of my life. I was performing in my corporate job, I was performing. In the startup, entrepreneur, sustainability space, I was performing again in this spiritual place. It was another role for me to adopt and feel connection and belonging. I think that's been a main driver of why I do and what I've done for a really long time. And now being able to like, hey, YouTube gang, I'm here, is like, I actually want to connect with people that align with my true self, that are right for me. So after I have this spooky, creepy dream, this older white lady energy healer who doesn't do Reiki says that she never does Reiki. She doesn't let people do Reiki on her because Reiki was originally brought to this planet Earth, by Venusian beings. So beings, creatures from Venus, to bring unlimited love to planet Earth. And since the 2,000 years that it's been here, the more people that practice it, people's egos get in the way and they start to say like, oh, I'm healing you with this unlimited love, but I feel like you need it this way or you need it that way. So they started putting their own egos into this unlimited love, this original Reiki that came from Venus, and then the Reiki started becoming distorted. And so now a lot of the Reiki that is like being circulated, this is why I would strongly advise against you getting Reiki, because a lot of it that's circulated right now is diluted. It is manipulated. It's not pure the way that it was 2,000 years ago. So did a bunch of energy clearings with a couple different people. It really did shake me to my core. And even then, I had a friend that, I told you, I put my friend on to Reiki at the time. And through my dreams, girl, if you have a dream about him cheating on you, he is. Like, your dreams are so communicative, they're so connective. I had another dream about this friend that was also practicing Reiki. Like, she was just so lost in the performance that the truth, my truth, couldn't penetrate into her field. And so had to say goodbye to that friend as well, because I was like, I can't keep up with the performance of this spirituality. And I, at that point in my life, early 2025, didn't have the energy, didn't have the capacity to continue investing in a relationship where someone else was so deep in their performance as I was like trying to get out of my own performance. So ever since early 2025, so just last year, this was like less than a year ago. I feel like this all came around again. April is such a like wake the fuck up time for me, in terms of like, you can call it like bad things happening to me, but I feel like bad things happen in order, like when you think of something shattering, things shatter and then more things can like rush through the broken, you know, the broken open places. So I feel like April is always like my breaking opening place. And so last April, that's when I found out about all that spiritual shit. And since I've been on my nervous system regulation, expansion journey this last year, the later half of 2025 and up until still now in 2026, I don't subscribe to anything having power outside of me and all that Reiki stuff, you know. And always, I think when people are telling you things, it's great to like take it as information and see how it sits with you. I mean, I would say like, if what I'm saying doesn't sit with you, then like you should be in your own power and decide that. But like, you and me, we're in the same frequency, so I know you get what I'm talking about. And since then, I kind of dropped all the like spiritual, psychic reading, astrology things, and I would like to reframe my relationship to astrology. I do like learning about the different planets and the different transits and how that does have like a ripple effect. It's kind of like checking the weather is how I feel like my relationship to astrology is now, where it's like, yeah, I check the weather, and if it tells me it's raining, then maybe it's not a good idea to go out there with a blowout. But also, like, the rain's not going to stop me from going out there with a blowout if I have a blowout. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how I feel with astrology. Like, if the astrology says this or that about this day, like, yeah, I'll tune into it. But I'm in a season right now where I am taking a break. Just like how this camera wants to take a break. Actually, it's not the camera, it's the little tripod setup that it's not even a tripod, it's one of those phone holder things. But I attached a light on top of it because it's just giving gloomsdale today, honey. So that's what we're dealing with here. You know, I'm gonna just do things raw, unedited. I'm not gonna say unfiltered because the filter is my true self. But just no cuts. I kind of like it this way for my YouTube videos for now. Who knows? Maybe I'll get into more editing later, but for right now, this is just the season where I'm at. The season where I'm at with Reiki and energy healing is like, no, I'm taking a break from that. I think there can be value in like the energy healing. Like I do believe there is an aspect where you can, you know, maybe heal energy or tap into it. But right now I need a break from that. I need to be more in my body, I need to be more in this physical realm. Like 1000% I believe there's a spiritual realm. Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you, I took some like mediumship classes too. And it was the astrologer was paired with this psychic. Oh, let me tell you this before I end the video. In the midst of me, I think maybe after I did the Reiki classes, I was like, oh my God, I kind of love taking these like spiritual fun energy classes. It's cool to connect with weirdos. I took a psychic class that a psychic and the astrologer that I saw, they were doing like a joint class. And so it was just like, come to this class and like learn how we talk to dead people. Y'all, I talk to dead people. Yeah, it's real. You can do it. It's really just tapping into a different part of your consciousness. And to be able to do it though, you have to be super grounded. They say you can only go as high up as down below you are rooted. You know, like trees that grow really big and really tall are so deep in the ground. And so it's like that with the human consciousness and using different parts of your brain. I got really rooted. I envisioned, you've probably heard it in like meditations, like envision there are roots coming from your feet into the center of the earth, and you're drawing the energy from the center of the earth to come up to you and go all the way up as far as you can imagine, far out to the universe. And then we would be like paired up in this, it was like all over Zoom too. You'd be paired up with a person and then be like, okay, what's coming to mind for you? And then immediately when I was paired with people, I would start seeing, I'd be like, I'm seeing this lady with glasses and she is a mole and she's telling me that she offed herself and that it had nothing to do with you. I was literally on my like Teresa, like spiritual medium ish, but again, wouldn't recommend that for everyone because there is a way to connect with spirits that have passed and crossed over that are like in the light. And then there are spirits that are still lingering in between that have got a little bit of a lower vibration that can like latch onto you and whatnot. So I'm fully taking a break from all of that. But that was my spiritual season, y'all. I had to tell you about that because I obviously watched the first video that I posted. And then I had the thought today of like, oh my God, Aquarius season, like the season of it being true to yourself and me posting the video finally being true to myself. And now all these different seasons in life. And I'm like, with my 6-year catch up, I didn't get to catch you up on the spiritual season of my life and the turmoil and chaos and a whole fuck ton of bullshit that I paid thousands of dollars for. I had to share that with you and where I am now with that. So that was a spiritual season in my life. Taking a break from, not taking a break, completely broken up with the performance aspect of spirituality. Do not get suckered in to, this is when I knew I had to take, when I needed to break up with that part of my life and those people that were in that part of my life is bitches stopped saying good morning because they were like, oh, morning, like day morning has the same you know, saying the same pronunciation as morning, M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G, like death mourning. And so then they were saying grand rising, and I was like, I gotta go, y'all. That was a big moment to me when bitches started complaining about they hated English because English had like low vibrational or whatever. I was like, and this is my exit cue. I think there is validity in like being in the spiritual realm, but also like don't forget who you are and where you are and what you come from, and don't pretend to be something that you're not. And obviously if you're performing, it's out of a space for safety. It's when you're performing, well, I'll speak for my case. When I'm performing, it was always from a space of wanting to belong. And that's just what I saw in like the spiritual communities that I was involved in. So don't get too spiritual. And if you do get spiritual, ground yourself, lock it in, check in with your true self. And if you're gonna go do any type of energy healing, just know that if someone tells you to like lower your protections because they're like, oh, your protections are high, I need you to lower your protections so that I can get into your energy field, get up and leave. Get up and leave. And when the energy is pure, there's no need to lower your protections. So there you have it. That was the spiritual season of my life. This was extremely vulnerable and raw because it's like, here's some shit that I went through that I begrudgingly, well, now it's begrudgingly, but at the time, I guess I was optimistic about paying so much money for. And it also just went to a lot of white people. I think coming out of it, if I decide to get more into that spiritual side ever again, it will definitely be probably people that share similar ancestry to me, whether that's like Persian or Chinese, because I do think there's probably some like energy healers or whatever from similar ancestry. And also so those were some of the bad energy healers that I've seen. Some of the good ones that did help me do the clearing, that did help me kind of like get into my power, those ones always felt like guides. Those ones always made me feel like I'm doing it from within me, that they're helping me excavate something within myself that I'm bringing forward, versus like the bad ones always felt like a doctor, like they had some type of prescription that I couldn't access without them. So if you are going to go into energy healing, maybe follow that guideline. Like you would rather want someone to guide you and you leave feeling empowered versus feeling like they sprinkled and waved their hands around you and they did something for you. Okay, see you next Tuesday. That was my spiritual season that I needed to tell you about. I'll be posting Tuesday and Thursday, and I'll figure out the situation so you don't keep trying to see me without pants on. And this has been fun. That we're doing a lot of the catch up, and I think maybe next week, maybe not. Who knows? We'll do some present stuff too. But I got a lot of things to catch you up on. So okay, see you. Bye.